Hi folks, welcome back to the Amazing Education channel, the station that gives you the information you need to know. It's going to benefit you and has sort of boring video. Oh yeah, what can I do? So, alright, it's not financial advice, not medical advice, not legal advice, but I'm a master educator, so it's education. It's going to help you, get smarter, get those brain glasses on. So, well, today's topic is handling rejection. So you're on your way to probably your millionaire net worth. If you have moved out of a house, you don't have to sell it. You can rent it out, get a neighbor as a property manager, sort of help you. You can do it all remotely. Believe me, it's easy. Just takes time. You got to have some free time, and you have to like doing a little bit of paperwork, handling details. But if that's your style, it might be good for you. And the number one way, as I've heard again and again, to reach financial stability, security, and financial freedom, even pass on, as they call it, generational wealth, to get into being old money, is don't sell your house. Move to a new house and have somebody pay for your old house as you rent to them. That's right. Figure it out. It's a good way. And it can save you a lot of financial headaches. So how do you handle rejection? Now, you're trying to rent out the place. Finally, you find some good people and you have more than you can take. Only one of them is going to qualify and be first. So normally people pick the first person that meets all of their qualifications. There they go, they're first in line, they get the place. But you might have an issue with that person and there's somebody else that you get along better with. That's a legitimate reason. Communication. This is a person you can communicate with easily, on time. They don't make mistakes, whatever it is. If that's your criteria, you're not a big business yet. If you are, then you know all this information already. So anyway, so you can choose the person that is more suited to you, and you tell them they're more qualified. Tell the other people they don't need to know if they were the first ones to contact you or the first ones to fill in the information. You can set a date and say, this is a rough date, like the second week of whatever month is when the most qualified applicants will be offered a lease. And it might be just 1 week away. It could be 3 weeks away. A lot of people are looking for immediate housing, but if you're handling students, they look the entire year before. So that's right, the entire year before when they're looking for student housing, because there's a lot of competition and they need to find a place many times. The fall before the next fall is when they're looking for housing. So you can just set a month, like 3 weeks in advance or 5 weeks, whenever your deadline is. And so people are not surprised when you say, okay, this is the week that you'll be offered a lease. And then you might offer these leases and they'll say, sorry, we already found a place. Oh, we just found a place. So that's another reason you want to have multiple people. And those people are looking at multiple properties. So then when you reject them, say, if the lease falls through, if the person doesn't pay their payments and never moves in, you are still a top candidate for this position, and we will contact you again. You might know that you're the new person you did choose. Maybe all of the people asking to rent are short-term people. Like, when I say short-term, I mean it's not going to be 5 years. They could be 6 months, 12 months, 2 years. And so it's a set amount of time, and you know that they're going to be moving on. It happens again with students, but it happens with older people. It happens with wealthy people with new jobs that are going from renting to owning a house. And you might want to consider that as well. If you know they're moving from out of state and they're coming in to rent from you, and they don't say that they want to buy a house, but they might even tell you, oh, we want to live here an unlimited amount of time, we don't want to move, but they're coming in from out of state. It's a perfect opportunity that they're going to look to buy a house, especially if they have a new job and you don't know the pay, but when you do a background check, you actually might find out their sort of their pay scale and definitely their estimated income for the household. You will know that, and if it's not too low, chances are they'll probably buy and move out, even though they said they don't have plans to move. Well, that's maybe true. They don't have definite plans, but they have a desire. And so anyway, so as I said, hold on to those people. You can tell somebody who you get along with and you had to reject, this house will possibly be available in 12 months or in 2 years. And if you don't like the place that you have to move to, and you might want to move to my house, keep it in mind, and it's an option for you because you're already qualified. They're already qualified. So, and people move on average in the United States every 3 years. That's the average. Now, a lot of people, they live someplace 20, 30 years, especially when children are growing up. But then after college and during college, people move. During college, they might move twice a year, maybe even 3 times if they might transfer from one college to another, many reasons. So people, anyway, they tend to frequently move about every 3 years. So just plan on that. No matter what anybody says, they could move in and then 2 weeks later, oh, I got laid off, fired, got a new job, sorry, and then they're gone. And frankly, you don't have any legal hold on them, even with a lease. That's right, they legally can move out and the lease is void. So at least it just makes people feel comfortable. That's what it does. And there are a lot of ways to break a lease. By break some rules and your lease is void, and then you're sort of released. It's funny that release is the word we use to mean like you're free. Because they're going to be searching for a new lease somewhere else because they broke your rules if they didn't fix whatever. That brings up another point, which is how do you handle people who say they have noise violations, they're smoking, and you have a non-smoking property, dogs, etc., whatever. Of course, it's up to you, but if it's a violation of the lease, sometimes you have a legal obligation. If they continue breaking the lease, say for a noise violation, it's your obligation legally to get rid of those people legally. And it's happened to me with people that were renting from me, and they were too noisy with their cars and also racing around the neighborhood, and I had to warn them, and luckily they paid attention and didn't get kicked out. But don't be surprised, especially if you have younger people or well, let's just say tougher. If they're sort of tough and have noisy cars, they don't want to fix their mufflers, or they actually maybe have a motorcycle or something. Those are all illegal. Believe me, the sound of those noisy cars, trucks, and motorcycles breaks the law. And yes, police ignore it, but neighbors often don't ignore the law breaking, and so there you go, you lose your tenant. It's something to keep in mind if you have the opportunity to be outdoors, to observe the person arrive, to see your house. If their car is unusually loud, in unusually terrible condition, maybe all dented up and full of, if it's full of junk and cigarette butts, you might have a hoarder full of junk. You might have a smoker who says they're not a smoker if you don't have a smoking property, and you may make a decision on these observations, okay? But it depends on what you're allowed to do within your own jurisdiction. As I said, not financial or legal advice, and It's not medical advice either, but I recommend no smoking. Okay. And you don't want your property to burn down. I had someone, an acquaintance of mine, was a smoker, and according to him, burned down his rental, a place he rented from somebody, a wooden house, because he fell asleep with a cigarette, and obviously he lost his place to live. So yeah, you just don't want smokers. You want strong policies and wired, and I say wired smoke detectors or fire detectors, whatever. And what I mean is that they're permanently connected, and if they're removed from the permanent connection to the electricity, they should have battery backup, number one. Also, they should make a noise when they're removed, because it shouldn't happen. So now, yeah, that's expensive to have that wired, I understand, but might not be as much as you think. It could be as little as $100 per room. If you have a 6-bedroom place, you could do it for under $1,000, depending on the cost of electricians. And it will help people to be rejected if you point that out. Hardwired smoke detectors. And then those tricksters, the smokers that are lying and actually secretly plan to smoke in your location, they can reject themselves by not moving in and not applying and not accepting the opportunity to lease. And but anyway, I hope this all helps you. Please like, thumbs up, and subscribe, and enjoy your future prosperity. Try to avoid selling, even if you need to save up for a down payment. And as a famous financial advisor says, eat beans and rice, beans and rice. What it means is, don't go out to eat. It's a great way to lose money, be poor, and avoid wealth if you go out to eat a lot, and even more than once a month. But have a budget, and have a date night if you're married, whatever. Maybe that's the way you do spend your leisure budget, is going out to eat. But budget it, and it's limited so you don't overspend. So whatever, depending on your income, you might be fine. But if you're average, middle class, or below income, then yeah, eating out is a great way to avoid wealth. So I don't recommend eating out, but save up and eat at home. Do your own cooking, which would be healthier for you anyway. And then you could have money for a down payment and get into owning a house where you can, it might be a duplex, or have a rental part of it, like an above the garage or in the backyard cottage or apartment, so that you can make money that way. Or just rent a low-cost place that you live in, and then have a property that you own, and that's the rental. So you don't have to do yard work, because the people living there do the yard work and handle even scheduling the repairs. It works really great if you don't live in the same city as the property that you own, or maybe you inherited it, or maybe you owned it and you moved out of it and you held on to it. And as I said, you can get a property management company, a neighbor, or a lawyer, or one of your former renters if you get to that point. And real estate agents can also recommend property managers. And there you go. And then the money's coming in. You're getting a property to help you through your retirement years, paid for by somebody else. And it's just wonderful, and I recommend it if you have the time. You gotta have the time. Talk to your friends and find out who does this, and they can fill you in. They probably haven't even told you. Just ask around, because they're making that kind of money and they're not going to want to talk about it. Maybe could be your coworkers. Just ask around who owns a house and rents it out, and how do they handle all the details. And of course, watching YouTube videos will help you immensely. I hope I helped you. Okay, take care. Bye.